Welcome back into the channel. This is the Birdland Network where we talk all things Baltimore Orioles and Major League Baseball. And today we're back with a really fun video as I'm going to count down my top 10 favorite baseball movies. But before we get into that, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you could, please give us a like because it definitely helps the video. So let's get right into my top 10 favorite baseball movies of all time. Now, the one thing I will say about this is there are many that I haven't seen. So there might be one on the list for you that I don't have, and it may be because I just haven't seen it. So these are movies obviously I've seen, and these are my favorites. So let's get right into the list. Number 10 on my list is Mr. 3000. This movie came out in 2004. Of course, it starred Bernie Mac, Angela Bassett, and others. It's a movie about an aging ball player who many years after he retired, he found out he actually didn't get his 3,000 hit like he thought he did. And so he tries to go back and play ball again after he's been retired for forever and try to get that coveted 3,000 hit. And this movie, I don't know, it's just fun. I enjoyed it. It's a fun concept, not really what I would call realistic, but it was a fun concept. I really liked it. Bernie Mac did a good job, and it was an enjoyable movie. For me, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. Have I gone back and watched it over and over again? No, but it was a fun movie to me, and that's why, for me, Mr. 3000 with Bernie Mac is number 10. Number 8 for me is Mr. Baseball, 1992 film with Tom Selleck, Dennis Haysbert. Basically, Tom Selleck plays the role of Jack Elliott, a great baseball player who's forced to play in Japan, where his brash, egotistical ways cause friction with him and his teammates and the manager. I really like this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. Tom Selleck's a big baseball fan anyway. And of course, he goes over there as the egotistical player, and the manager does things his way, and Tom Selleck does things his way, and they really clash in the beginning. But in the end, they both learn to give a little. The manager's not as strict. He kind of does things the way Tom Selleck does it, and then Tom Selleck kind of learns their ways and respects their ways of doing things. And it's really kind of neat. And I like the ending as well, where he goes back to the majors in America, and he's a coach this time. And of course, there's a love story with him and the manager's daughter, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a fun movie. Nothing great. It's not like I've watched it a ton of times, but it is a fun one. I like it. So there you go. Mr. Baseball, number 9. Number 8 on the list for me. Now, we're going back a ways for this one. We're going back to 1976, and that's the Bad News Bears. Walter Matthau, Tatum O'Neal, Vic Morrow, Jackie Earle Haley. I think this movie is pretty awesome. Aging down on his luck, ex-minor leaguer, coaches a team in an ultra-competitive California Little League. I just love this movie. It's the prototypical underdog movie, but with a great ending, actually. Not your cookie cutter expected ending in this movie, but it's really a lot of fun. Lots of funny parts. It's emotional, too. I think this movie's really awesome. It's one of those little guys almost wins, so to speak. Walter Matthau is great. Tatum O'Neal, does a great job. Just wonderful. I really like it. Some really awesome people in this movie. Tanner, Timmy Lupus, Ogilvy, Ahmad. I love it. I think this movie is wonderful. If you haven't seen the Bad News Bears, the original, not the one with Billy Bob Thornton, the original with Walter Matthau, go see it. I think you'll really love it. Number 8, Bad News Bears. Number 7 on the list, we're going back to 1993 and The Sandlot. Patrick Renna, James Earl Jones, Karen Allen, Dennis Leary. This is a really fun movie. It's the summer of 1962. A new kid in town is taken under his wing by a young baseball prodigy, and his rowdy team results in many adventures. This is a fun one. The main kid in the movie goes, and the team needs a baseball to play, and he goes in his stepdad's locker or whatever in his office and goes and gets a baseball because they need one. And of course, the baseball was signed by Babe Ruth, and it's his prized possession, and they're using it to play the game. And then they lose it in James Earl Jones' backyard. Just a fun movie. I really enjoyed this movie. Of course, You're Killing Me, Smalls comes from that movie. This is a fun one, and I really think if you haven't seen The Sandlot, you should check it out. It's a fun one, and that's why it's number 7 on my list. Number 6 is 1994's Angels in the Outfield, starring Danny Glover, Christopher Lloyd, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Tony Danza, Adrian Brody, Matthew McConaughey, and more. This is a really, really fun movie. For Joseph Gordon-Levitt, even Adrian Brody and Matthew McConaughey, they were kind of lesser-known actors at that point. They didn't really take off. So this was kind of a starting point for a lot of them. But this is a really, really fun movie. It's about a boy who prays for a chance to have a family if the Angels win the pennant, and then angels are assigned to make that possible. It's really fun. Christopher Lloyd is the main angel, and they help the California Angels to make a run at the pennant. I love the ending where they don't really help the outcome of the movie. They make the players do it on their own, and I think that's the way it should be, and it was really fun. It's kind of emotional at times, too, and it really kind of can hit home for some people. But this one's awesome. They have some of the great lines in there. Of course, Nacho Butt, when the guy sits on the nachos and the kids call him Nacho Butt. My wife and I still say that to this day. If it's on TV, we'll watch it. It's a blast. It's a fun movie. If you haven't seen Angels in the Outfield, I definitely recommend it. It's number 6 for me. Number 5 on my list. I'm actually kind of surprised it's not a little bit higher for me. But that's because the 4 that are ahead of it are really, really good. But number 5 for me, 1989, Major League. Charlie Sheen, Tom Berenger, Wesley Snipes, Dennis Haysbert, Bob Uecker, Corbin Burnson, Rene Russo, and so many others. This movie's fantastic. It's about the new owner of the Indians that puts together a team on purpose that's horrible so that she can relocate them to Florida. But when the plot is uncovered and the team finds out, they start winning just to spite her. This movie is so much fun. So many different lines in this movie, so many different scenes that are fantastic. Whether it be the scene where they ship Wesley Snipes outside and he's cut already and he's sleeping outside, or whether it's the scene where Charlie Sheen is practicing his pitching and he hits the mannequin and knocks the head off. There's just so many awesome scenes in this movie. I think it's fantastic. The ending is really cool too. Bob Uecker may be the best part of the whole movie. I just think he's absolutely fantastic in this. I love this movie. I think you guys will love it. Major League 2 wasn't that bad either. Actually, that was filmed here in Baltimore at Oriole Park. And that one wasn't that bad either, to be honest. The ones after that kind of fell off for sure. But Major League, number 5 for me. I love that movie. And that's why it's where it is. So number 4 on my list might actually be number 1 for a lot of people. But it falls to number 4 for me. And that's the 1989 movie Field of Dreams. Kevin Costner, Ray Liotta, James Earl Jones, Amy Madigan, Burt Lancaster. It's about an Iowa farmer named Ray Kinsella who's inspired by a voice that he can't ignore to pursue a dream he can hardly believe. And of course, he's supported by his wife. He begins the quest by turning his ordinary cornfield into a place where dreams can come true. This movie is really, really good. It really strikes home for anybody that's a father-son that has regrets of a parent that might have passed back in the old days. It's just a wonderful movie. It's done so well. A lot of fun moments, a lot of really heartwarming moments, some sad moments as well. And of course the ending always gets you and brings you to tears. But it's done really, really well. There's so many lines from this movie. People will come, ease their pain, go the distance. These are things everybody remembers about this movie. I think this is really done well. But the 3 that are ahead of it are really good to me. But number 4, Field of Dreams, 1989. If you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. It's a tearjerker for sure, but it's still awesome. Number 3 for me is a movie that when I went into seeing this movie, I had little to no expectations, didn't know what to expect, but I came out of it really, really enjoying it a ton, and that's, of course, 1992's A League of Their Own. Tom Hanks, Gina Davis, Lori Petty, Madonna, Rosie O'Donnell, John Lovitz, and more. Such a great cast. It's about 2 sisters that joined the first female professional baseball league and struggle to help it succeed amid their own growing rivalry. This movie is really, really done well. John Lovitz is fantastic in the small part that he has. Of course, Tom Hanks is amazing. Gina Davis does a really good job. So many likable characters in this movie. Again, some famous quotes like "There's no crying in baseball." This movie's just really, really awesome. I love the way they really tell the history of the first female professional baseball league during the World War. And it's done really, really well. It's so much fun. I'm not a big fan of the finish. I don't like the fact that Lori Petty wins. I thought she was kind of a crybaby throughout the whole movie and just jealous of her sister. But, hey, that's just me. But I really did like this movie a lot. I think it's done really, really well. Every time it's on, I will watch it. It's just awesome. And that's why it's number 3 for me. A League of Their Own. Number 2 on the list has been considered the best baseball movie by a lot of different people, a lot of different outlets that have done these types of rankings. And of course, that's the 1988 movie Bull Durham. Kevin Costner, Susan Sarandon, Tim Robbins, Robert Wool. It's about a fan who has an affair with one minor league baseball player each season, and she meets up with an up-and-coming pitcher and an experienced catcher that's assigned to that up-and-coming pitcher. And it's just funny throughout the entire movie. It's really, really done well. So many great things about this movie. I love it. The superstitious part where they talk about superstitions and don't mess with a streak. The different things in the movie when they talk about, breathe through your eyes and just different things. It's so funny. It's so well done. I think it's fantastic. I think it's Kevin Costner's best baseball movie, even better than Field of Dreams. He just does a really good job with it. Tim Robbins is awesome in it as Newt Lelouch. I just love this movie. I think it's fantastic. It's got so many great parts to it. And it's really true to life for a lot of minor leaguers, I'm sure. It really gives an idea and delves into what minor league baseball life is like for some of those guys that unfortunately aren't ever going to make the big leagues. But this is an awesome movie. I'm sure all of you have seen it. Bull Durham, number 2. And now here we are down to number 1. And for me, this movie may not even make the list for some of you. But for me, it is my absolute all-time favorite baseball movie. I love it. I've seen it probably 1,000 times. And I just think it's the best baseball movie for me. And that's 1984's The Natural. Robert Redford, Glenn Close, Robert Duvall, Kim Basinger, Darren McGavin, Wilford Brimley, Barbara Hershey, and more. This movie it's just the best baseball movie in my humble opinion made. And for me, I love it. It's my favorite. It's about a middle-aged unknown who comes seemingly out of nowhere to become a legendary baseball player with almost supernatural talent. Now, the synopsis there is a little bit weird. If they really got into it, they would talk about, he was considered a prodigy when he was coming up, when he was young. And, they have the big scene with him striking out Babe Ruth, or at least the whammer, who's supposed to be Babe Ruth, on 3 pitches. Of course, Ruth is batting from the right in that movie when he's really a left-handed hitter. But it's just fantastic. I love this movie, everything about it. It's just the best story told for sports, in my opinion. And it's very sad in a lot of ways. I mean, here's a guy that made one mistake that he had to pay for the rest of his life. And for the most part, he was alone. And it's a sad movie in really a lot of ways. But I love it. And the ending is just my favorite ending for almost any movie I've seen, let alone a baseball movie. I love the ending. It makes me well up every single time. I think it's fantastic. I like the good guys to win. And the good guys win in the end in this one. And he goes off, and lives happily ever after, so to speak. It may be kooky, it may be corny, but that's what I love. I love those types of endings, and this one just does not disappoint. The Natural is amazing, and I love it. And that's why, for me, it's number 1. But now it's out to you. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know, what's your list? What are your top 10, top 5, number 1, whatever you have? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you could, also remember to subscribe to the channel if you like Orioles or baseball content. This is where you're going to get it. We also do Hall of Fame content on this channel. We'll have live streams. We're going to have gameplays on game day for the Orioles. So be sure to subscribe and like the video as well for more baseball and Orioles fun. But that's it, folks. My 10 favorite baseball movies. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed bringing it to you. And until next time, keep rooting for your teams. I'll keep rooting for my O's. And take care of yourselves and each other.